In the interest of time, I'll be brief, basically to explain the purpose why we are here. As you are aware, government continues to undertake reforms that are aimed at improving the business environment so that our enterprises can grow, access markets, produce products that are competitive, so that our environment can attract investments, foreign within the region and otherwise. And today, the purpose we are here basically is to share with you the reforms that we have undertaken. We know very well, very often you tend to find information correction quite difficult within government. So today we arranged this session to be with our private sector partners, but most importantly with you for the purposes of making sure that as partners in these reform processes, you are informed, you are provided with timely and accurate information so that we are in partnership in informing the public. As has already been said, our Honorable Minister is going to Cabinet, so we are very pleased that Honorable Minister have been able to be with us. So without further ado, I will request the Honorable Minister to make his statement, and then
for those remarks, the Chairman of the Business Licensing and Regulatory Reform Committee, Honorable Sandaula, the ED of Private Sector Foundation, with development partners from World Bank, members of the press, I observe all the protocol. Although at short notice, I was able to come and officiate at this function because of the importance that government attaches to improving the business environment. That is the doing business in the country. So I'm glad to join you today as we communicate the reforms implemented by government thus to improve the business environment in this country. As you may be aware, my ministry's mandate is to formulate policies and enhance economic stability and development, and to mobilize the resources, both internal and external, for purposes of growing this economy. To drive Uganda to becoming a winning nation, one of the areas of strategic focus for us as a ministry is to ensure government efficiency. Boosting the economy to an efficiency-driven requires an improved business environment, and also to comply with the regulatory requirements. There have been a number of reforms that have been undertaken by government in trying to improve the business environment in this country. With regard to the business licensing reforms, the process is facilitated by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and the objective is to reduce unnecessary legal and administrative burdens that SMEs, that is small, medium enterprises, face while conducting business in Uganda. The reduction of regulatory and administrative burdens, which is estimated at about 750 billion Uganda shillings, is critical if you have to grow the enterprises in this country. Also, that should help us to create jobs and ultimately grow our GDP. With the support of the World Bank and the Trademark East Africa, the process has so far achieved a cost saving of about 190 billion Uganda shillings, which is about a quarter of the total licensing burden on SMEs. This burden has been reduced as a result of the following efforts by government. One, elimination of licenses that have been redundant. I think from our last records, I can't remember, I think there were over, was it 700 licenses? I can't remember. And we've had to eliminate some of those which are very redundant. And also through the amendment of laws to have clear procedures. Lastly but not least, also reduction of the licensing fees. For instances, the trade license, which took effect in January 2012. And also the establishment of an electronic licensing portal established at URBS in 2013, which provides for information on all the licenses that will be required by different businesses who want to do business in this country. And lastly, the decentralization of offices. For example, right now Uganda Registration Services Bureau has decentralized its Kampala office to Gulu, Mbarara, and Arua, and this is all aimed at trying to reduce the cost of those who wish to start a business and they need to travel to Kampala to do their registration. Uganda needs a supportive regulatory framework to enable it to strategically invest and exploit its resources to enable it to compete favorably in the region. Now, coming to the report, which was, I believe, prepared by the World Bank, that is the Doing Business Report 2015, Uganda was ranked 150th out of the 189 economies that were surveyed. So, and this was published actually in October this year. I wish to pause here and make a comment. And this has always been a concern to us as a ministry, that we are sitting in that position. We have been sitting there. We have improved from 152 to 150. So we have only moved 2 steps in terms of improvement. And the reasons are what I alluded to earlier, that there are so many processes, regulations that probably are not required. So yesterday when I was talking to Dr. Ntegize, I was saying that I need to take a trip, lead a delegation of all those who are responsible for facilitating businesses in this country to go and do some benchmarking in Rwanda. We want to pass over to Tanzania, around to Kenya, and come back. Because I think the Rwandese are, what is the position? 100? No, they are 45? I don't have the data here, but the Rwandese are certainly doing much better than us in terms of doing business. So I need to go there with all the technical people to go and find out what is it they're doing differently, so that we can also improve ours. This report ensures the scope and the manner in which regulations enhance or constrain business activity. The Doing Business indicator is an important reflection of the business environment and has thereby helped to identify the gaps and the guided priorities towards reforming the business environment in the country. The government is already implementing reforms across all the indicators to provide a competitive business environment. 1, through several institutions, we have already started online processes to improve efficiency. An example is URA, which now has an online application and payment procedures. KCCA is currently also piloting what is called the e-satellite payment system, and the e-licensing portal is also going to be housed at URBS. The land reform information systems is being rolled out to zonal offices. As you are very much aware, Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development has installed computerized land registration and management system in 6 zonal offices. Now these are going to be rolled out to more offices throughout the country. Funds have also been made available under the Competitive and Enterprise Development Project to construct a permanent home for Uganda Registration Services Bureau and Uganda Investment Authority under one roof. And that should be able to provide what is called the one-stop center, the physical one-stop center for this country. Additionally, under the same project, resources have also been made available to development of an online one-stop business registration at URBS. The government has also committed funds on the investment and facilitation of one-stop center at UIA. The objective is going to be that we are going to link all the key institutions which offer permits, approvals, such as NEMA, URA, KCCA, Ministry of Lands and Housing and Urban Development, Ministry of Internal Affairs, responsible for the issuing of permits. So all these key institutions are all going to be connected to one centralized portal system, where investors can be able to access and make applications all online without having to physically move from one office to the other, which has been one of our biggest challenges. And that's one of the reasons why we're putting up the one physical one-stop center it's going to be at Kololo. The ease of doing business initiative for East and Southern Africa. At the Ease of Doing Business Initiative 2014, which was hosted in Maputo, Uganda was selected to host the EBDI after beating 6 other countries that had expressed interest in holding the event next year. So therefore, I take this opportunity to inform you that Uganda will be hosting the regional conference on the Ease of Doing Business Initiative for Eastern and Southern Africa 2015.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We will proceed with the rest of the program. For this media briefing, we'll have a presentation from the Uganda Registration Services Bureau.
We'll just say that the minister maybe can take 1 or 2 questions. As he has said, we have a tripartite arrangement here, government, private sector, of which you are part, a major private sector, and our development partners who are here represented by Moses Chibirige. When they are not in the other color, you may not realize it, but Moses Chibirige and Caroline Ndaura are part of the World Bank Group. So maybe 1 or 2 questions for the minister, if as he runs away. I see a hand behind. Introduce your names and the media.
My name is Uganda. Honorable Minister, you hold the docket for investment in the ministry.
Yes.
We know that you've also raised the issue of the ranking of the country and ease of doing business, but this is formed by the condition on the ground. Specifically in relation to this project, the investment climate, and in particular licensing of businesses. We know that the Ministry of Finance on behalf of the government, of course, has been trying to repeal and amend and remove some licenses here and there. But as far as the program is concerned, where next? What are some of the key areas that, as government, are looking for?
There are quite a number of areas. For example, issuing of construction permits. We're doing very badly. I wish I came with my statistics. I don't know whether Dr. Ntagize has the figures, but issuing of construction permits is one area where we have not been doing very well. And we will be engaging with those responsible for issuing those the licenses, particularly KCCA, to try to ensure that we can improve in that area. I think one of the challenges we have is that we have a number of agencies which are doing almost a similar thing. I'll give a typical example. Yes, the data is here. Let me just give you the key areas that we're talking about. One of them is construction permits. We are at 163, while, for example, Rwanda is at 34. So that's one area where we need to improve. The other one is getting electricity. You see, applying just for electricity so that your business can be connected to the distribution grid. And we're at 184, while Rwanda is at 62. Property, registration of properties. We're not doing very badly. We're at 122. The other one is getting credit. We're at 131, and Rwanda is at 4. So you can see the statistics speaks for itself. Therefore, what we're going to do is to engage those responsible, one, for issuing of construction permits. What is really causing this delay in issuing construction permits? Because once an agency has already done an inspection, it's not really necessary for another agency to go and do the same inspection. And that's where we need to improve. Getting electricity. What is the problem? Where is the problem? Is it the transformers that need to be provided for that? Or is it just the process of applying? That is one area where we need to engage UETCL, who are the transmitters, and also Omeme, who are the distributors. So we're going to be engaging all these agencies who are responsible for carrying out those activities. For example, trading across borders. This is an EAC thing. It's not necessarily just now. Uganda. Why I'm saying it is an EAC thing, Rwanda sits at 164. Uganda is at 161. So it has to do more with, I think, us trying to review those protocols and the agreements, the interstate agreements we have.
The distance
Yes,
from Mombasa.
and also the distance, I think, from Mombasa, it also affects that as well. So those are some of the areas where I think we need to focus on so that we can be able to improve our competitiveness. With regard to environmental impact assessment, Uganda Investment Authority does not do, it is not mandated under the laws to undertake or approve environmental impact assessment. It is just a requirement for them to have the businesses operationalized. The mandate for environmental impact assessment lies with the NEMA. We have had some challenges. I've had comments about the challenges investors are having, particularly with the NEMA, and we shall also engage with them and trying to see if we can speed up the process of approvals and so on. I think with regard to what Moses was asking about, we in East Africa, I think the trade and the trade and ministers of finance of East Africa are looking at all these issues holistically. For example, one of the things they're doing is the Northern Corridor project, which I know you in the media have been very much aware of, where the EAC countries are trying to do the standard gauge railway, so that can be able to help the countries to improve movement of goods and persons within the EAC. The other initiative, of course, is to harmonize the laws. You know, each country has their own, national laws. So there's a need for us to sort of harmonize those laws so that they are fairly consistent. Of course, take into account the national interests of each of the countries. And then, of course, we as Uganda, we're also going to upgrade our infrastructure, particularly the roads. The roads are being upgraded. We are looking at also upgrading the airport, which of course has become a hub. And so all these are going to be done to try to improve the cost of doing business in East Africa. So I believe that in a few years' time, we should be able to be doing much better than what we are doing today.
But I feel if you have to achieve much, from my personal experience, I feel that apart from the meeting that we are holding today as a briefing to the press, that the Ministry of Finance takes the lead to invite ministers, and we get a day, complete day, where we have exchange when the relevant ministers are available. Because when you talk about, for example, land, the issue of land, we were given responsibility as private sector foundation to take responsibility to spearhead the reforms in registration of land. And the whole project was completed. Land was computerized. Can you believe, in spite of that, transfer of land or registration of mortgage is taking months? And this is what we wanted to address. But it is not being addressed. Now you are here, sir, Honorable Minister, and you are saying on the World Bank rating, you are going to meet the relevant people, you're going to meet the relevant people, but certainly you will be, you as a minister, alone. You don't have the pressure group, which is the private sector, that is affected. So I would be of the view, for us to benefit, that you cause a meeting where we get together, because you are talking about registration, licensing of contractors, etc. That is the Minister of Works' responsibility. And for me, having had to exchange, views with the Minister of Works over Air Uganda and so on, and I could see the attitude. I don't think whether you are going to meet any joy at all when you don't have the private sector around you. And when we talk about NEMA, NEMA is also working on its own. in its own way. And then there is that big issue of corruption. And that has eaten deep into most of these things. When you look at all this rating, I happen to be a director of UMEME, and I would tell you about the issue on connecting power. That has its own problems, not mainly starting from UMEME necessarily, but involving so many other parties that need to be really addressed. So I would be of the view that you get the relevant ministries and you get us a day, because we are always available to make our time free of charge, so long as we can sort out the problems of this country. And we see ourselves on better footing.
Thank you.
Because the East African community alone, we have signed a number of treaties and so on. But we are continuing to get a road deal, even where our own president gets up and say, I am going to take, I'm going to take this kind of action. But somebody in a newspaper has the guts to answer back and they say, oh, I think he didn't say this from the bottom of his heart. I think, because I'm a vet at his farm, and I'm here because there are no people who are properly qualified in this sector. I mean, that is a ridicule. What I consider to be a very big ridicule. If you can answer back your master, if he has confirmed he's an employee, but he is able also to answer back the employer in that manner, how can we move? We also need to revisit some of these treaties we have signed. Do we benefit? How can you have sugar lining up every other day? Sugar, where you have satisfied, we have a team, there is a committee between the two countries, which comes to check on the origin of the sugar, particularly sugar. And they confirm this is Ugandan sugar. But when someone imports it in Kenya, that is taboo. You hold their trucks, you pay license, do this and do that. And we continue to fold our hands that we are members. We are going to go into political federation. How do you, if I'm quoting you to be my girlfriend or my woman friend, and the way you talk about me is so bad, how can I then be aspiring for marriage with you? I would be a madman.
Thank you.
So please, it is about time. Some of these things got visited and visited very serious in the interest of this country, Uganda. Thank you very much.
Actually, this is what we're having discussion with Dr. Ntagiza yesterday. I said, you know what, I need one day, a full day, where I want to invite the private sector and all these other agencies and ministries that are making us do very badly in doing business. And yesterday, I highlighted one was Ministry of Water and Environment, under which NEMA falls. The Ministry of Presidency, where KCCA falls, because they have an issue there. Ministry of Works for the construction permits. We need UMEME. Also, Ministry of under Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. So, Chairman, I can assure you it's something we had discussed with him, and I've told him that he should drop a program. I want us to go there and see what they're doing first, so that when we come back here and have that one-day workshop, I
disagree with that, with due respect.
Our presentation this morning is improving business environment, and our indicator of focus is starting a business in Uganda. This is a presentation from Uganda Registration Services Bureau. My name is Mercy Chomgasho Kainowisho. The outline of the presentation is very clear. I'll go straight to the point. Business registration opens up many opportunities of businesses or business owners and strengthens the private sector, and also assists in formalization of the economy, which eventually benefits the government and civil society. That is no longer debatable. The business environment does play a very important role in company formation or startup of business. And this is also determined by the quality of legislation, the administrative procedures in place that do facilitate the business registration process, in view of the time it takes to register business and the cost of business registration or starting of a company. And URSB, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, as an institution, is charged with the mandate of registration of a business and has played a great role in reforming the process of business registration, as we shall discuss. Who are the key players in starting a business today? We have URSB as the start for business registration. We have URA for tax registration. We have KCCA for licensing, trade licensing, and NSSF for the NSSF number. But the major players are three, the URA, URSB, and KCCA. I would not go into the details of our ranking in 2 to 3 days, but our focus is 7 hours in the next few months. The recent reforms as URSB, excuse me, I have a cold. Warm water. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we have legal reforms. We have a Companies Act 2012 that became effective on 1st July of 2013. And this brought on board many changes, including the thank you so much, single registration of a single member company. The seal is no longer mandatory because it is indicated that seal does delay the registration process, but it's no longer mandatory. The signature of a director or representative of a person or a person duly authorized to act on behalf of the company is good enough. The Finance Act brought on board new fees, and mainly fees, registration fees and stamp duty of companies, small companies that have a share capital of 1 million to 5 million, you pay a uniform fee, which is around 140,000. And after beyond 5 million, it is a different it's a different amount, but this was intended to expand the small and medium enterprises or to formalize the informal sector. The structural and administrative reforms include we have a single flow for registration as opposed to the previous when about a year, 2 years ago, you had to go to about 4 levels to get a service or concerning registration of one company, assessment on one floor, submission on another floor, but we decided to centralize the services on the same floor, which is level 6. We also have established or put in place an online registration, such engine where you can access the names in our database through an online system, and you establish whether it is registrable or not. And also URA, introducing the self-assessment. You don't have to come to URSB to get an assessment. You can do it in the comfort of your office or your business area. We have also a payment center, let's call it a bank at URSB within the level 6. It's no longer necessary for a client to move up and down to go and pay bulk or even little monies to the various banks that are authorized to receive money on behalf of URA. You can pay in our offices on the same level, receive an assessment, receive an application, receive everything on the same level, so which makes the doing of business or starting or registration of a business easier, and it improves the access to our services as one of our areas or objectives in our strategic plan. Availability of our registration forms, we have availed them on our website. We have a document as a center in our registry on level 6, and we have also we are also working with the Uganda Bookshop. You can access those documents from all areas of registration, and we intend to disseminate and provide for them even on other on our partner websites like KCC and URA, because we are seriously working with them. Regional establishments, we have an office in Gulu. We have in Imbara recently, about 2 weeks ago, we opened an Arua office, and we'll be inviting you for a launch at the end maybe of the 1st January. And we are also moving to Moroto by the end of the financial year, or by even March. So we are trying to establish our offices in the different regions, but also we are also looking at establishing registration centers within the city, since the World Bank looks at business within the city. And ongoing and future plans, we have we want to introduce electronic payments. My colleague Arthur will will give details of that and electronic details. We have plans to construct a one-stop center, and this we are in support because of the support we got from the World Bank, and plans are underway. The procurement processes are ongoing. We also plan to automate the business register. We want to allow also for electronic search and automatic reservation. We want to streamline all the entry procedures and consolidate some steps and do a one-stop registration center, including all the main players, the agencies. We want to simplify. We have worked on simplification of registration forms with KCCA and URA, and very soon you'll be consulted. And we believe that this is going to make registration easier to achieve a single point for registration. We want to roll out our information. We want to roll out and disseminate our services to the different through different media. So we have big plans. I summarize this in a conceptual framework where for us to achieve the ease of or to improve business registration in Uganda, we need to first of all modernize our business registry systems, and this is through automation. We talk of modernization, we mean use or embracing ICT or technology, establishing online registrations, establishing an electronic register which is accessible by the public. By embracing ICT and modernizing a register, we shall reduce on the time taken to register a business and the cost that it takes. And this also has some independent variables. We have administrative procedures that have to be taken, processes, and also, I beg your pardon, and also enhancing our legal framework and our strategic partnerships. As I conclude, a modernization of business registration systems